is Yahweh, and greatly to be praised in the city that bears his name, the city of Elohim.
All right, beautiful Shabbat Shalom morning to all of you guys. My name is Jason.
I'm Caden. I'm Jaden.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Eli.
And we are the Yahuwah and the Torah YouTube channel, and we thank you guys very, very, very much for being a part of our little family that is around here, and that is a family that is based on the laws, statutes, and commandments of our Creator. And this is the amazing thing about hanging out with all of you guys, is because you end up with all of these different so-called religions out there that, without a shadow of a doubt, they claim that they love God with all their heart, with all their mind, and with all their soul. But when you ask them about the laws of our Creator, they tell you they're dead, or they've been nailed to the tree, or they don't matter. And so we don't have people in this world that show value to the greatest things that we have ever been given, which is the first 5 books of Scriptures. People think that the writings of Paul are the greatest things that have ever been given to us. And we've had another great week of debating the Christians on YouTube, where they will laugh at you. They will send you laughing emojis when you talk about the laws of our Creator. And they're like, oh, silly, you should know you don't have to keep those laws. And they just laugh at you. And all you can do is just tell them, have a good day, the message was sent, and let them live their belligerent lives in the way that they're going to live. And they can find humor in all of this. They can find humor in a people who are trying, without a shadow of a doubt, the greatest test of time, which is to solve the answer of what is the future, what is the way forward. And we haven't been given the way forward when we were children. Most of our parents didn't indoctrinate us with anything other than these satanic so-called religions that are fake. They're phony. They're a bunch of liars. All these guys that are standing on their little pulpits on a Sunday worshiping on the day of the sun as they take 10% of your money, and that's what you think that is about. That's all satanic. It's all demonic. And I know that the words that I use on this, the retention rate on YouTube, it goes way down, because people don't want to hear this. They want to hear this grace doctrine. They want to hear the love, that Jesus loves everybody. Jesus loves the greatest of the sinners, and Jesus will take you to this magical bus ride rapture tour. That is all guaranteed to everybody in the Christian religion. But when you look at Scriptures, when you look at the Torah as it is, it doesn't say anything like that. In fact, our salvation is only going to be achieved with fear and trembling. It's not something that's guaranteed. There's no single place in Scriptures anywhere that it says once saved is always saved. In fact, you will find reference after reference after reference that if you decide not to keep the greatest things that have ever been presented to us as a, then by default, we will be given a place that is a very uncomfortable place that is meant for the people of the human race who do not enjoy the ways of our Creator. Now, we've all been lied to in the terms that these so-called laws are bondage, that they are too hard to keep, that there's no way you keep them. And what I hear all the time is, Jason, if you break one law, we break them all. So why would we even try? And that is insane, because why don't you try asking that to your parents as a 3 or 4 year old? I don't want to keep this. If I steal this candy, this like I'm literally burning my house down. So why shouldn't I just steal my candy? It's all the same, right? That's the same thing that we've all been told. We've all been lied to. And now we have a way forward. We have a way that our Creator has given to us. It's called the Scriptures. It is called the Torah. And inside of these laws, these beautiful, wondrous, immaculate laws of our Creator, are found the guides to health, the guides to spiritual life, and the guide to the future. And it is with that we are going to go over these. If you don't click out of this, now I know the retention rate is really, really low when we start talking about these things, because this isn't a channel you will find anywhere else. You will never find a YouTube channel anywhere like this channel, ever. It doesn't exist, because we focus on everything that is law-based. We focus on going over these, so these laws, statutes, and commandments are part of your life. As we read them here in just a few minutes, These are the kind of things that we're supposed to know without a shadow of a doubt, that we are supposed to apply to everything in our life. And if we don't know them, it is on us. This is our fault. This is not the creators of the universe's fault. It's all going to be on us. Now, let us open with prayer. Cade.
Father, thank you for this day, and your blessings. Thank you for bringing this family united, looking for your words, seeking your Torah, seeking your greatness. We ask that today your Ruach is on us, it is with us, that we understand the words that we are reading today. And when we leave today, we are to walk away better people, soldiers for you, people that are looking to embrace the kingdom, looking to improve the kingdom, looking to push the kingdom forward into this world. We thank you for all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Yeah, and that prayer was really, really good, because when you read scriptures, it's all about pushing the kingdom forward. A lot of people are sitting here waiting for the kingdom to come, when it's very, very clear in the words of Messiah and in the words of scriptures that we are the people who bring the kingdom to here. The kingdom is going to come when it's us that are out there pushing this forward, that are out there going to it. Now, I saw some sort of weird blasphemy in the chat. Did I see blasphemy in the chat? Okay, what's a blasphemy in the chat? Professing preterist. The law and the prophets was fulfilled and rendered idle in AD 70.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, my friend, I guess, I'm not going to get too far on this. We'll let the chat deal with this as we go forward, because we're just about to read these amazing, beautiful laws that you don't want to hear about anymore. Jade, will you please open us up?
Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah Elohim, Yahuwah is one. And you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, and with all your being, and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress upon your children. I will speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates.
Yeah, and that's the thing, guys. The law is a living, breathing, literally, I think it's like an entity. I think it's literally the words of our Creator that surround us and are able to protect us and to guide us. And if you want to, well, I mean, as Messiah says it, if you are lawless, you will go. And very clearly he says that. And so it's one of these decisions that we either have to come up with. Did the man at the 501c3 church that gives us this so-called doctrine, is it a doctrine that is worthy of having our souls being saved? Or is it one of these watered down doctrines that is once saved, always saved, and all of these kind of things? So let us get into, first of all, before we go into the law, statutes, and commandments, Mr. Cole is going to say hi to all our brothers and sisters as we greet everybody out there.
All right, we have Jeremy and Callan,
What's up, guys?
Joe, Candy and Ruby,
Hi, ladies.
Jeannie, not of this world,
Hi, Jeannie.
the Grand, here,
Yay.
I'm scrolling, Sarah Baker, let's see.
And Sarah had some really, really good news. Did you see that
She
Sarah's stuff?
Yep.
Got the pig out of the house. Guys, let's give it up for Sarah. Woo! Working really, really hard, protecting her family and trying to get the ways of our Creator right. And that's it. It begins little steps at a time, sis, and you are incredible. Good job.
And wait, it says Philip Price, but it's actually Abby Price. I think she said her husband crossed over, so she's using his phone, but she said closed, but I don't know. Anyway, Andy and Elizabeth, Emissary Cain, Mama CA, Christina, Regina, she's here. I'm scrolling, sorry. I think that's everybody. If I missed anybody, I apologize.
Yep. And my friend, professing preterist. Guys, this is what if you will just give us, say, 5 minutes right here as we read through this, let us know which of these commands are bad. Give me a list, 4 or 5 commandments that you don't think are good for you and why you don't think they're good for you. So let's begin, guys. This is the greatest things that you will ever be given. This is the greatest hope that you will ever be given. And let's not let Paul be our Elohim. Let's not let Paul be our God. Because if you take 7/8 of the book that says, without a shadow of a doubt, we need to be keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, and then you bring Paul into the mix, and all of a sudden Paul becomes your God because for some reason you think that Paul has now died for your salvation and that Paul has arisen to give you the way forward, that's not it. And I will tell you that if your understanding is Paul, that your doctrine has started and ended with a letter that you don't even have the full amount of letter to. You don't have what was sent to Paul, but somehow you've made your doctrine and you've freed yourself from this law. Well, according to Messiah Yahushua, you will go to hell. And before we start this, I want to jump real quick right here, because I know we'll miss our brother real quick, because he doesn't stick around very long. These guys don't, but I do want them to stick around. This is for you, my friend. What's this guy's name? Professing preterist. This is the words of if you are a follower of the Messiah, if you're a follower of Jesus, who you would call Jesus, these are his words. Not everyone who says to me, Adonai, Adonai, but he who is doing the desire of the Father in the Shamayim. Now, you don't have any other desire other than the laws, statutes, and commands. So the word desire basically comes to Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. So if you are living and committing your life to the first 5 books, then you're doing the desire of the Father in Shamayim. And he continues on, and this is actually to you, my friend, professing preterist. This is what he's going to say to you. Many shall say to me in that day, Adonai, Adonai, Master, Master, have we not Nabite? Have we not prophesied in your name and cast out demons in your name and done many mighty works in your name? Now, this is what Jesus is going to be telling you, my friend, professing preterist. And then I shall declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. Now, the lawless thing trips up a lot of Christians, because in the Christian religion, that's all they are, is they are a lawless religion, right? They don't have a set of morals. They don't have a set of guidelines. They say the Holy Spirit will guide them to where they need to go, when really nowhere in Scriptures does it say that. We have a set of guidelines, a beautiful set of guidelines, beautiful set of Torah commands, and this is what we're going to read right here, right now. And so, Mystical, let's not let the chat get two things. Let's if it's not working out, let's just put them in.
Jesus is talking to the Jews.
Yeah, no, he's not to you. Me. Go ahead and let's put him in timeout. All right, brother. Much love to you. We tried. Everybody tried here. Yeah. So we will see you maybe another time or another thing. But we're the assembly that we love. We love our Creator. We love His commands. We love our Messiah. We love everything that is in Scriptures. And this isn't anything about Jews or Gentiles. This is all about people who are, definitely pray for him, Jeremy. These are the guys that we just got to plant seeds for, and eventually, hopefully, something happens. So for the rest of us who are super, super excited about these amazing commands, here we are right here. Number 1. This is the commandment that if you guys want to fulfill the commandments to the point where you believe the word fulfill means to get rid of, we're about to get rid of all of these, right? Because if you're getting rid of one, you might as well get rid of them all. So no more should we ever be fruitful, and no more should we multiply. And I think we've really done that in this world, right? We have abortion clinics worldwide. We definitely don't multiply like we should be. And being fruitful, there's so many people with that one-eyed sleep snatcher, and they become lounge lizards. They sit there and they watch that TV to the detriment of themselves and to their family. So if we're on the track to get rid of all these laws, and let's get rid of these, and it sounds like the world's already sucking more than it already sucks. Okay, so those are not, and for those who do not know, I was being completely belligerent in that. We have the command of being fruitful, right? We wouldn't want to get rid of it. We wouldn't want to stop multiplying, right? That's how families are built. That's how families are born, right? That kind of stuff. Continue on, gentlemen. Take it away. Replenish the earth.
Subdue it, have dominion over the fish, fowl, and every living creature.
The herb bearing, every tree is for food.
Man and woman should build their own families.
Master
sin.
Every clean moving thing that lives shall be food for you.
Do not eat the blood.
All right, hold on. We just said preterism is a false doctrine anyway. They think we are already past the first word. Yeah, I didn't even know what that word was. All right, thanks, Jeremy. Okay, going back to this commandment, guys, right? Where you decide that the commands are no good, then all of a sudden you're drinking blood, right? Because if we don't have a command not to eat the blood, not to drink the blood, then by default, here we are. Okay, so don't drink the blood. Don't eat the blood.
Walk before me and be perfect.
Guard His covenant, laws, statutes, and commandments.
Reiterated over 53 times in Scriptures, guys. 2 pages, 2.25 pages is the amount of times this is reiterated to us that we need to guard these laws that all of us in the chat room were just guarding against that fella who was in there, right? That's what we're doing, right? We will guard them when people come up and say, oh, the laws are no more. You're going to look at them, your eyes will be crossed, and you're like, what? What'd you say? Okay, continuing on. Teach your children the commands and guard the way of Yahuwah.
Remember Yahuwah's name for all generations.
See the Passover, Pesach. Keep the feast of unleavened bread, festival of Massa.
There's one Torah for the stranger and one for the Hebrew.
Sanctify all firstborn to Yahuwah. There are no mighty ones before Yahuwah.
You shall not make graven images.
Do
not bring Yahuwah's name. Do not.
Keep the Shabbat.
Honor your parents. Do not kill.
Do not break wedlock.
Do not steal. Do not make false accusations against your neighbor.
Do not covet anything of your neighbor's.
Like, look at this, guys. If you want the do not make false accusations against your neighbor, right? This is why the religion of Christianity is dangerous. And I don't mean to make the Christians upset on this, but it's like if you have a child and you don't raise them properly, and this kid is a wild child, right? This kid goes to the store, starts ripping stuff off, starts screaming, starts making this stuff, right? The problem isn't the child, the problem is the parents. And the thing about where we don't have any commands, one of the commands is don't make false accusations against your neighbor and don't covet anything your neighbors. These are very, very dangerous things, because as I'm talking to my brothers and sisters in death row, and literally this month alone, we had 2 serial killers call my house, which is how deep we are into the death row prison system. And one of these brothers, he was sitting here talking, and every email that I ever send in, I send 4 or 5 commands, and I ask them to, let's discuss this, let's talk about this. The same thing we did with that one fella who's probably not around anymore. But let's talk about these. And one of the brothers, who is a serial killer, who is on death row, who's been on there for 3 decades, he says the whole reason that he is where he is at is because he coveted what was his neighbor's. And because of this particular sin of coveting what is his neighbor's, he's now on death row. He's been on death row for 34 years because what he wanted to take something that wasn't his. He didn't have this. We know we're not supposed to steal as most of the time, but when we know that it comes from the mouth of our Creator, that what we have is ours and what our neighbor has is theirs, and if we're sitting there lusting after their stuff, be it their wives or their lawnmower, we're coveting after it, and we're going to potentially do something that is going to break these commandments. And that's what these guys did, right? They went from coveting, then they went to murder, then they went to whatever else it was. So one command, breaking it, can lead us to literally death row. Literally death row is where we're having this. So let's continue on. Do not make an altar from rock that a tool has touched.
Do not go up the altar by the steps. If a man steals cattle, he shall restore it 5 times.
Yahuwah's laws for criminals.
Do not lie with beasts. No sacrifice to other Elohim.
Do not oppress a stranger, fatherless, or widow.
Do not charge your brother interest. If you borrow your neighbor's raiment, return to him before sunset.
Do not curse the ruler of your people.
Do not eat what is torn of any beast. No false report.
Do not follow a multitude of evil.
Do not judge unrighteously against the poor. Bring back your enemy's cattle who find it going astray.
Help
Help the animals of your enemy.
Stay away from rumors and gossipers.
Do not oppress a stranger. Love the stranger. Take no bribes. Take no bribes.
Give your land rest in the 7th year.
Do not mention any pagan names. Keep the feast of Yahuwah.
Do not kill your goat in his mother's milk.
Okay, let's talk about this real quick, because I got this, and this is how astute these guys on death row are. One of the brothers wrote back. He goes, what do you mean don't cook your goat in his mother's milk? And so I actually had to go out and research this up, and there's not a lot of information on this. There's basically 2 different theories that people have on this. One of it is that it was a pagan thing. Like, essentially, one of these guys that were sacrificing to their gods, they would take the mother and they would take the baby, and then they would literally slaughter the baby, sacrifice it, and then boil it in its mother's milk. That's one particular thought process on that, but we don't have a tremendous amount because there's not a lot in there. The other is that it is one of these things that violates the order of life, that you are literally taking the mother and the milk, that the milk was for the child, and you're slaughtering it, and you're basically messing up the order of life. So those are 2 separate things. We don't know a lot about this command, but we do know that it is a command, and it's not a parable. It's something of the sort that was going on in these back days. And how I explained it to this brother is that these guys they all came out of Mitzrayim, right? They all came out of Egypt. They were 400 years in there, and there was like 5 or 6 generations of people there. What they used to know prior to going into Mitzrayim wasn't what they knew when they came out, right? They grew up with all these foreign gods. They grew up with a different way of culture. They grew up with everything different. And this is the kind of stuff that as they were they made the escape and they made it into the land of Canaan to where they were starting out their trek, they had to break a lot of this stuff. And so these commands are very, very important, even though we don't always understand exactly why they came to be, but they're important nonetheless. Okay, continue on. Obey the messenger. Yahuwah sends before you. And I don't want to get too out this, but these as I go through the weeks and as I write these brothers and sisters, guys, I type hundreds and hundreds of words. It is lucky that I was an IT guy all my life, because this is a perfect job for me, is the rapid fire pen pal. And one of this week, 2 messages came in that all dealt with extracurricular, supernatural, spiritual stuff. And I'm always talking about it. I'm talking how Boss Clan has been completely protected, how we've had fire stop in the middle of dry grass, just stop because of prayers. Things that are unnatural. And one of the brothers asked me if I had ever seen an angel. And I said, you know what? I said, back when we were in the States, we would never go past a person begging along the street or a family without picking them up and taking them somewhere and getting them food. I still remember a lot of times we'd take them to McDonald's, we'd take homeless people. I'd always, if somebody's out there by the road, toss out $1 as we're driving by. So I told him I don't know if I've ever seen the eyes of an angel before, but I definitely have seen the eyes of a devil before, and I've seen the eyes of people who are possessed by the devil. And he leads me into a story. One of them was that the creator of the universe is one of those very intricate, mystifying entities that it's just not, he's all around us for all of these things. And one of the stories that came out of death row was a guy who was warned by the hand of the creator over and over not to go to Texas. He was told by this guy, he had no idea, this little old man, and this little old man had spoons that were on his fingers and around his neck. And he called himself Dr. Soul. And Dr. Soul told this guy long before he was ever on death row, whatever you do, don't go to Texas. And then the old man started telling this guy all these things that there's no way he could have ever possibly known. And the old man again says, don't go to Texas and don't hang around the guys you're hanging around. Well, what's crazy is now he's in Texas on death row, and he's sitting here reflecting how the hand of the creator of the universe literally sent the messengers before him to save him from what had become. And that wasn't the only story, because I heard another story of another brother who said the same thing, that he was out committing all these crimes, ended up with literally on death's door, as an angel comes by and picks him up, and as they're driving, this angel sitting here telling him about God. And both of these guys in the exact same week are reflecting that the hand of our creator literally sent supernatural forces to stop what was going to happen. And this is why all of us need to understand that the messenger Yahuwah sends before us, you don't know what they're going to be. You don't know if they look like a human. You don't look like if they look like a beggar. You don't know if the demons look like a beautiful woman and is trying to seduce you away from your family, right? But we need to understand that the messenger that Yahuwah sends before us is going to give us things that are in the hand of the Torah. It's the things that are for Yah. If somebody comes along, if a messenger comes along and says to kill this guy, that is not a messenger from Yahuwah. That is a demon. That is something that is not to be listened to. But there's enough stories that come out of these things, like on death row, that without a shadow of a doubt, I would put my life on it right now, that there is special forces watching out for every single one of us. And if that's not true, I don't even know how to explain all the stuff I've seen. I don't know how to explain these stories that come out of death row. So continuing on, hopefully that inspires all of you guys to know that we're not alone, regardless of how bad it is, regardless of what toughness you're in. There's extracurricular forces, and they will tell you things like, don't go to Texas. You're going to go to prison. Remember that. Obey the messenger Yahuwah sends before you. Okay. Do not bow down to other Elohim, or gods.
Serve Yahuwah. Make no covenant with other Elohim or outside of the land.
Do not make use of anointing oil on a normal person. Do not make use of perfume on a normal person.
Do not eat the fat. Do what you say you're going to do.
Return what is your neighbor's.
Obey Yahuwah's dietary laws. Remember his time of separation.
Obey Yahuwah's hygiene laws.
Keep the Day of Atonement, Yom HaKippurim. Do not uncover the nakedness of your family. Do not take your woman's sister for wife.
Do not lie with a woman in her uncleanness.
You should not sacrifice your children to Moloch. Do not be a sodomite.
Be Kodesh.
Do not reap the corn of your field. You should not glean your vineyard. Do not deal falsely or fraud your neighbor.
Do not lie or be a liar.
Pay your workers for the day's wage they are due. Do not harm the disabled.
Do not endanger your neighbor.
Do not hate your brother. Rebuke your neighbor for his sin.
Love your neighbor as yourself.
Do not divert your cattle. Do not mingle your seed.
Do not mingle linen and wool.
Do not lie with a taken woman. Do not eat the fruit of the tree for 3 years.
Do not practice sorcery.
Do not round your beard or the corners of your head. Do not cut yourself for the dead.
Do not get tattoos.
What do you got, Mom?
Emissary Velahim says extracurricular, question mark.
Extracurricular, question mark, like extra spiritual, right? Stuff out of the norm. When you're into an extracurricular education, you're getting something a little extra out of it. So this is it's an extracurricular event that is happening around us that is not seen. Maybe I didn't use the word right. I don't know, but that's the point I'm trying to make. Okay, continue on, fellas.
Do not get tattoos.
Do not prostitute your daughter. Do not defile your temple. Do not consult the medium.
Respect your elders.
Have correct weights and measures. Do not walk in the manners of the nation.
Keep the feast of first fruits, Shavuot, Omer count, Pentecost.
All right, let's go back. It's cutting yourself for the dead.
That's a new person.
A new person. Hi, new person.
Striking the Rock 144.
Hi, striking the rock. So back in the day, in fact, you can even in the days of the guys of Baal, right? The demigod Baal, who actually goes back to Nimrod. It's just another name for Nimrod. What they would do, and you got it in the days of Elijah, right? When Elijah was trying to strike up he was having the duel with the officers of Baal. If you guys remember this story at all. And the officers of Baal, they sat out there for hours and hours and hours, and what they were trying to do is they were trying to cut themselves. So what happens and what has happened in the occult world is that people will cut themselves for the dead. They will do all sorts of crazy stuff for the dead. And it's all pagan, right? The dead is the dead. There's nothing we can do. Cutting ourselves isn't going to bring back the dead. It's not going to do anything. And so it was obviously one of these things that was a problem where people came out of Egypt, and in Egypt, they were probably cutting themselves for the dead, right? It's a ritual. It is one of these things that in their world of so-called religion, that those are things that they do. And so we aren't to be, bloodletting ourselves. We're not to be, putting blood all over the place. It's one of these things that we have a lot of rules and regulations. Number one, we don't drink blood, don't eat blood. If blood hits the ground, right, we're supposed to cover the blood up. Life is in the blood. And so when we're sitting here cutting ourselves as the pagans do and doing all these things, that's what that means. Okay. Hopefully that answers that.
Anyways, Emissary Velahim says he was just picking on you.
Oh, you're just picking on me? Oh, thanks, buddy. Thanks, Chaim. Appreciate it, Row. Okay. Where are we at, fellas?
Keep the Feast of Trumpets, Yom Teruah.
Okay.
Keep the feast of Sukkot, Shem Yatzeret. If you bless in the name of Yahuwah, you shall be put to death.
If you kill your neighbor's animal, you must give him another.
Repay injury for injury. Honor the Jubilee year.
Confess your sins to Yahuwah and repay who you have trespassed against.
The law of being a Nazir. Wear easy on the four corners of your garments.
Huge thing, guys. I got guys in prison wearing tzitzits now, right? We figured it out a little bit. They were taking their bed sheets apart. They got one dude who's like, he's the sewing guy. He's like pulling his bed sheet apart, and he's going to be hooking up somehow this other dude with some string, and the other dude has got some dye now, this blue, and so they are making tzitzits in the prison cells. So there you go. And these guys have zero access to anyone. The one guy that's making tzitzits is in solitary confinement because he actually tried to kill a dude in December. So he's been in solitary now for a while, but now homeboy is wearing tzitzits, which I found was very, very incredible. So these guys, don't put it past the prison guys. They're resourceful even when there's nothing else around. Okay, continue on, fellas.
The laws of who are touched to the corpse.
Follow Yahuwah's law of inheritance.
Torah, keep your oath to Yahuwah.
Do not add or take away from the word. Guard your soul.
Learn to fear Yahuwah.
To love Yahuwah with all your heart.
Guys, I talk about this all the time. I want to go back to guard your soul because guys, we don't have any other way. When we exit this world, when we take our last breath, when we get hit by the car, whatever it is, the last bit, that's the final time. We have no other opportunity to ever guard our soul. Guarding our soul is one of these things that if you are lawless, if you are a person who hates the laws of our Creator, and by default, the Christians hate the laws of our Creator. I've never encountered a Christian that doesn't end up getting very upset when you explain how wonderful these things are. So guarding your soul is things like reading your scriptures every single day. We have a scripture that says we're supposed to write the laws, statutes, and commands on our heart, mind, and soul. It's supposed to be when we get up, when we go to sleep, when our kids, we're supposed to bash it into our kids' heads in a way that they have understanding from their youths, so that when they are out in this real world, when there is crazy stuff, they will understand that guarding your soul is the most important thing ever. And that's what I keep telling these guys on death row. Right? Most of these guys on death row, I have 75 people right now that have actually expired all of their appeals, and it's just a matter of, I don't know if their names come out of a hat or what it is, but there's a lot of these guys that are going to be heading to the plate, to the final table, and this is what I tell them, guys. The soul, your soul, you guys are in a very bad place. You guys all did some very heinous, horrible things. But there's absolutely nothing you can do about that except for being in repentance and looking forward. And this is why when we have Torah, and this is why I am so excited when these guys write to me from death row and they use the words meditating on the Torah. I could not believe that when brothers are writing me back, and these guys are literally reading their scriptures, reading Yah Scriptures, and it is something that even in the darkest depravity of the most horrible places you guys could ever, people that are seeking our Creator. Have they been perfect? Nope. Have they done terrible things? Is there no hope? Nope. There's always hope for all of us, which is why we should be thankful to our Creator for giving all of us that same hope. Okay, let's
bind the laws upon your hand, the frontlets between your eyes.
And the Torah on your doorposts.
Do not tempt Yahuwah.
Do what is right and good in the sight of Yahuwah.
Do not be afraid of your enemies.
Remember Yahuwah.
Circumcise your heart.
Cleave to Yahuwah.
For by his name.
Destroy graven images.
Do not make an idol of Yahuwah. Pagans do their Elohim. Rejoice in all Yahuwah has blessed you with.
Do not do what is right in your own eyes.
Do not hearken the words of the false prophets.
Do not make any baldness between your eyes for the dead.
You shall not eat any abominable thing.
You shall give to a stranger clean food that died of itself, but you shall not eat of it. Give tithe of your increase of seed year by year.
Laws of the end of the 7-year release.
Do not borrow from the nations. Do not harden your heart, nor shut your hand from the poor.
Guard month 1 of Yahuwah's calendar.
hold on. Let's see what Sylvia's up to here. All right, guys. So Sylvia's in here, and she needs urgent prayers for protection. Now she lives in kind of a sketchy place, and so, guys, if you guys could please lift up Sylvia in prayer and give her some hope. The hope is Yah. Yah is the one who's he can protect us from absolutely everything. So Sylvia, much love, dear sis. We will be praying for you. Okay, let's continue on where we were at, everybody.
3 times a year, all males shall appear before Yahuwah.
You shall make good officers in all your gates.
Do not plant Ashtoreth poles near the altar.
There must be 2 or 3 witnesses.
Hearken to the prophet who is chosen.
Prophetess of Deuteronomy.
Do not remove your neighbor's property line.
How deal with false witness among storekeepers?
The first child is a double portion.
Hey, Big Red's here. What's up, brother? Rodney. Yeah, this is a guy that I just seen him in my comments as of late. Big Red is watching videos. Big Red is reading scriptures. Another amazing success story of brothers that are coming out of this world. So good to see you, Big Red. Good to see you here, brother.
If your brother's cattle or clothes are lost and you find them, you must return them.
A man should not wear retains. A woman should not wear retains to a man. A man should not wear retains to a woman.
If you find a bird's nest with the mother and the babies or eggs, take the babies and not the mother.
If you build a new house with a flat roof that is able to be lived on, you must put a railing around it.
Not be a prostitute.
Do not use dirty money.
Law of divorce.
Do not take a person's millstone for a pledge.
If you lend to your brother, do not enter his house to get your payment. He must bring it to you. Return his clothing before sunset if that was his pledge.
Do not oppress a hired servant that is poor and needy.
Every man shall be put to death for his own sin.
Do not go back for the forgotten sheep in the field. Leave it for the stranger, fatherless, and widow.
Do not muzzle your ox when he treads out grain.
If your brother dies and has no child, you shall take his wife and the firstborn after your brother.
At the end of 7 years, you are to read the Torah at the feast of Sukkot.
All right, and so let us go back. I don't want everyone to start chucking rocks at anyone, but the question was: is lighting a candle kindling fire? Now, before I give you my 2 cents on this, let's talk about what exactly kindling a fire is. Because kindling a fire, well, here's the thing: it doesn't matter. I mean, this is the way I look at it. I know people toss rocks. I think that when you start your car and you're dropping a whole bunch of gasoline in and you have your pistons and you're sitting there firing and you're popping up stuff, I think you're kindling fire. Now, a lot of people go, Jason, that's absolutely absurd, because back in the day, to kindle a fire, I mean, it's a lot of work, right? You're going to go out, you're going to get a bunch of sticks, you're going to come forward, and for anybody who's never started a fire by hand, it's not easy. And I don't know if they had flint and steel back in the day, which makes things a lot easier, or if it was harder. But it's not something that we can take a bic and flick the bic and pop up fire. So this is how I don't know how it is, and I think that if I advised people on staying in the dark on a Shabbat because they didn't light a candle, I think that would probably be wrong. So let me just say it like this: for us and our family, we don't, and we wouldn't. Flick a lighter. We won't turn our stove on. but at the same time, we have a crock pot that we put on warm. And if you're looking at things from a technicality standpoint of, there's technically sparking fire with electricity as well. So it's one of these things. It's not the same as kindling fire from back in the days. And so if we're making the Shabbat something far worse, and it's harder on us, and we're living in darkness. And I actually heard that one time. I heard a guy that I don't know if he was what religion exactly it was, if he was straight Judaism, but he would start on a Shabbat Eve on night and not light anything. And he would sit in a room in darkness, and then the next day he would just sit there. He would never ever go, and he was convinced that was going to send him to the dark side. And that's just one of those things. It's kind of silly when you look at it like that. It's a day of rest, right? It is a complete day of rest for us, and we've been given specific understanding of what it should be. And I guess I'll leave it at that, because I don't know when it comes down to it. So I'll let you guys discuss that and kind of roll with it. So that's all I got to say. Okay, now here we are into Leviticus. We are into a tremendously amazing book. And again, the brothers and sisters in chains. I got one of them that's reading this, and he was just reading this chapter right here, this book, and he was extremely he just psyched. When you start reading these scriptures and you read them as a love letter from our Creator to us, things get very, very exciting. And so these are all the same things. And as you read through the first 5 books of scriptures, Leviticus is one of these chapters that are specific or more specific to the priests and to the ways of the sacrifice and the ways of the Levitical force. But there's also commandments in here that we can definitely use for today's stuff. But when it comes down to, are we animal sacrificing? Are we doing all this? And that's the first thing that Christians will tell you, right? I believe it's programmed into their understanding. The first thing they say, oh, are you sacrificing animals as well? And that's one of these things is they don't understand our Messiah, right? They don't understand what a Melchizedek priest is, or how a perfect priest was born, or how a perfect priest became to fruition. But that is the whole story of our Levitical priesthood, right? Our Levitical priesthood has moved from the hands of man to the hands of the Son of Man, to the son of Adam. And that is our priest, and that is a perfect priest, because our perfect priest doesn't have to go make an animal sacrifice to appease and atone for himself, because that's what we're dealing with. And you can hear that when you read in the book of Hebrews. It completely talks about how Messiah, Yahushua, Jesus the Christ, is a qualified, astute, the very best possible leader that we could ever have, because of his upbringing, because of his sacrifice, because of his way that he walked these lands and showed us that the Torah could be walked by the average man. All right, here we are, Leviticus 19. Boys, can somebody give me a quick breakdown of where we are today? Anyone?
So we are times of Moshe after we got the children out of captivity. They've been out for, I think, a couple years now. They are getting commands. So the commands here are that they are learning what to do, what they can't do, what the Levites should do, what the Levites can't do. And they also, we learn about family members and the relationships we can have with family members, what we shouldn't do with family members last week. So, and this week we are getting more commands from Moshe and Yahuwah.
All right. So guys, this is very, very important stuff. It's important that we know what it says, because it's a foundational standpoint of everything in scriptures. And so here we go. 19:1. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to all the congregation of the children of Israel and say to them, be Kodesh, for I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am Kodesh. Okay, guys, what does Kodesh mean?
Holy.
Holy. So the very first thing that our Creator has spoken to Moshe, that he says, speak to all the congregation of the children of Israel. And for those who do not know, guys, you guys are the children of Israel. Anybody who is in covenant with our Creator, and covenant means that you keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of our Creator, you're in a covenant bond. A covenant bond is the bond where our Creator has said, look, I will be your Elohim, you will be my people. That's huge. So right out of the gate, he says to the children of Israel, which is also to all of us today, which is be holy, be Kodesh, for I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am Kodesh. So these are big words. In this, we have be Kodesh, right? Holy. This is one of these things that every single day, every one of us needs to look at and decide, have we done what it's going to take to make this kingdom? Is our lives a representation of clean hands, clean heart, clean mind, clean soul? Are we holy in the same way that our Creator is holy and that we know He is holy. And these are very hard words, because I question myself every single day. Every single day I know without a shadow of a doubt that I can be a better version of the person that I was the day before, but it takes work, and it takes scriptures. It takes understanding of how much of a lover our Messiah was and how much of a lover our Creator was to the loving of humanity, that they give us these laws, statutes, and commandments as the greatest gift we could ever be given. And then we're given a Levitical priesthood revisited, Messiah, right? The greatest priest we could ever have is what we have been given. We are so set in terms of a spiritual road if we will embrace it, and we will embrace the Torah road, but most of us won't. Now, continuing on, this is coming from Moshe, from the words of our Creator. Each one of you should revere his mother and his father and guard my Shabbatah. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Huge words, right? Inside of this one sentence, there's two separate things, right? Revere your mother and father. That's something all of us know, right? We're supposed to love our father and mother. What does the word revere mean, everyone? What do you guys think?
Like obey.
Honor, respect, hold them in a high level of esteem. And a lot of the times, that's kind of hard for us, because my dear mother, she's a pagan, right? She's a Gentile. She's a happy Gentile. She loves her pork. She loves her way. She loves not keeping the commandments. She loves her Sunday worship. And anytime I bring this up, she doesn't care, right? It doesn't matter. She's like, oh, I got my ways. And I'm like, Mom, you're getting old. We only have one chance at protecting our soul. All we're going to have is this one shot. And she doesn't care. And so I don't know what to do. I continue to pray for her. But it's one of these things that we have to revere our parents even when we understand that they are on the wrong side. Now, this doesn't say that we revere them and we continue in the path of being a Gentile. It means that we obey them, we respect them. But inside the same sentence, we have one of these reiterations of guard the Shabbat. So inside of this, on taking care of your mother and father and revering them, he reiterates guard the Shabbat. Now, everybody who's here listening to this on this day, we're guarding the Shabbat, right? We put value into the day. And there's only one single day in time in this entire week that is blessed. The day of the sun, Sunday, is not blessed. It is not a day that our Creator has said it is blessed. So if you want to take the blessings of the day in general, then you need to guard the Shabbat. Now, a lot of people don't understand what the blessings of Shabbat are. Guys, what are some of the blessings of Shabbat? Go around this table. What do you got? Rest, relaxation. Your mind gets better. Your body gets better. Your soul gets better, right? It's better for your health. You're not grinding 24/7 all the time, right? It never
Recharged for the week.
You get recharged for the week. Yeah,
You get close connection to our Elohim.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so we have a day that we're supposed to worship, and tomorrow's the first day, right? We all go to work here, every one of us. It's the day of work. Got dog baths, do all sorts of stuff. It's not a day of the sun around here. It's the day of our work. Continuing on, this is what our Creator says. Do not turn to idols, and do not make for yourselves molded mighty ones. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. So there we are, guys. Don't make idols. Don't make molded mighty ones, right? Do you have a cross of Jesus around your neck? Do you have Jesus hanging on a cross in your house on a picture? You got these things, right? These are the things that we're not supposed to do. We're not supposed to make things in images. That it's important. Why is it important? Because our Creator is living, breathing all around us. We have somebody to worship. We have somebody who will take care of us. We have a direct line to the most powerful entity anywhere. Right? That is what has been given to us, the power of prayer. And we can sit there and pray to a rock on the side of the road, and it's not going to do anything for us, right? You're not going to save a rock. A rock's not going to save you. We have an Elohim, and he's mighty, and he should be praised. And we shouldn't bring in other things that are inferior to his superiority. 5, and when you bring a peace offering to Yahuwah, bring it for your acceptance. It is eaten the same day you slaughter it, and on the third day, and that which is left on the third day is burned with fire. And so we have a little bit more understanding of the peace offerings and about the need or not need for refrigeration and what is good to be eaten the next day and when it shouldn't be eaten. These are things that when we have scriptures, we'll be probably less sick when we're doing things. Okay, let's continue on. 7. So if it is eaten at all on the third day, it is abominable. it is not accepted. Again, this is good stuff, right? It's about health. It's about a lot of stuff, right? Our Creator doesn't want rotten meat sitting around, and he doesn't want you to eat rotten meat, which is why he gives us Leviticus 11, which is our dietary guidelines. Continuing on, and he who eats it bears his wickedness, because he has profaned the Kodesh, the holy offering of Yahuwah, and that being shall be cut off from his people. It's a huge thing, right? Little simple things like this are things that our Creator has wanted us to do. And again, a lot of it has to do with health. When you're sitting there eating stuff that's past the days of expiration, that's when our Creator knows us. He made it. He knows when things decay and when they are not healthy for us, and he has the way forward. 9. And when you reap the harvest of your land, do not completely reap the corners of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Okay, very important things, right? Actually, we'll go with 10, because that explains it two more. And do not glean your vineyard, or gather every grape from your vineyard. Leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. So this takes us into one of these things where Messiah was actually walking through a field, and you had all of the Sadducees and the Pharisees, and they were going at him. They were saying, hey, what are you doing? Well, when you understand Torah, you will understand that if you were a farmer back in the day, you wouldn't harvest every last bit of your field. You'd leave the outskirts, the stuff that was like right at the edge of the fields. That would all be for the people that were hungry. And if you did not take it out of the field, you did not break Torah. This is the power and the love of our Creator, in that everything he has ever fashioned us with has been for a successful ride in humanity. This is the thing. If you were poor back in the day, you wouldn't have to sit alongside the road, beg, hopefully, because you would have a field that you could go eat from. This would be the food that you were provided. The same for the grapes, right? You're supposed to leave this stuff for people who are who are hungry and who need this. And so that is, again, the helping hand of our Creator. 11, do not steal, do not lie, do not deceive one another, right? Big words, right? We know this, but when you take the laws of our Creator, right, you have Leviticus 19:11, you say, well, that's been nailed to the cross. All of a sudden, you can steal, and you could lie, and you could deceive another, right? And when you look at the people of Christianity, and again, I'm not saying that people are bad, but when you don't have morals, you can do things. I did things as a Christian that I just asked Jesus to forgive me for. Straight up evil things. And then I would go, you know what? Jesus, forgive me for my sin. I thought it was okay. I thought I could just continue on doing all this evil stuff, and Jesus was there just to forgive me. That's when I read the Bible. When I read the Bible, it didn't say that. It didn't say anything like that. 12, and do not swear falsely by my name, and so profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. Okay, important, right? Do not oppress your neighbor, and do not rob the wages of him who is hired. It is not to remain with you all night until morning. Guys, some of these might sound very, very familiar because we go through these things every single week, right? Every single week we write these on our hearts, minds, and souls because we know we're not supposed to swear falsely by the name of Yahuwah, right? We're not supposed to profane him. We also know that we're not supposed to oppress our neighbor and or the people that are working for us. We're not supposed to rob them, right? We're supposed to pay them that same day so that they have the ability to go take care of their family. If you make them work, you say, I'm going to pay you at the end of the week, and they have to go home and their family, everybody's hungry. That is not what our Creator wants us to be. That is not the kind of people that he has built for a society. 14, do not curse the deaf or put a stumbling block before the blind, but revere your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. Guys, again, the danger of being a Christian is well, we don't have rules, so we can curse the deaf or we can put a stumbling block before the blind, right? Things like this had to happen before our Creator put a set of rules and regulations. A lot of people are like, well, who would curse the deaf or put a stumbling block before the blind? Well, obviously people were, or it wouldn't be a command. It wouldn't be something that our Creator thought of as such a big deal that humanity couldn't figure it out, that you don't mess with the disabled. Do no unrighteousness in right ruling. Do not be partial to the poor or favor the face of the great, but rightly rule your neighbor in righteousness. This particular command, guys, we live in a world that is not this, right? You live in a political world where everything is full of unrighteousness in all of their right rulings. If you look at the prisons of the United States of America and the people on death row, I'm convinced there's people on death row that have never killed people, that have been there simply because they're black. That's what I have come to the understanding of. Now, that's a problem because one of my brothers, his name is Charles Mamu, and we're going to be doing a podcast with him very, very shortly. He's been in there like 35 years. He got thrown into death row under 90 days. From jail to death row under 90 days, like 30 some years ago, the fastest person to ever make it to death row. And he's gone through all his appeals. He's just waiting for that time when they stick him on the table and he's done. And it doesn't look like a great place to be, which is why we should all be excited about the rule of Elohim, about the rule of the kingdom to come, because we're living in a place of complete unrighteousness and a complete mess. 16, do not go slandering among your people. Do not stand against the blood of your neighbor. I am Yahuwah. Very important stuff, right? This is what Facebook is all about. We're sitting here just nosebook, slandering people, gossiping, doing all this evil stuff. And again, don't stand against the blood of your neighbor. Do not hate your brother in your heart. Reprove your neighbor for certain and bear no sin because of him. This is big, right? How could we end up bearing the sin of our neighbor, anyone?
By seeing his sin and not telling him about it.
Yes, we have a commandment that we are told to reprove our neighbor, right? If homeboy over there has a little 6-year-old girl that isn't his and you're wondering what's going on and some action's happening, it's your reason to go over there and to stand against this, right? Reprove the neighbor. You don't know what's going on. Hopefully it's something simple, but if it's not, you need to make sure, because if you are aware of this and 8 years later you find out this little girl had been molested for the last 8 years, that's on you. That's all on us, right? 18, do not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the children of your people, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahuwah. Wow, here it is, guys. The second of the greatest commandments. This is one of these Christian things, right? The Christians will say, all you got to do is love God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, and my neighbor as myself. And that's the Torah. That's the Torah wrapped up, and I don't have to do anything beside that. Guys, I hear that all day long, all the time. This is people don't understand. This is a piece of it. If you truly love your Creator with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, then you will love everything that He says. And this is what He says. He says, don't take vengeance or bear a grudge against the children of your people, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Very important things, right? All of the laws of our Creator are very, very important. 19, guard my laws. Again, He reiterates my laws. This is why we ended up with over 53 times where our Creator reiterates it. Words right here in an end of a sentence with a period. Guard my laws. Okay, so we have Christians, they don't care about the laws, so they're definitely not doing it. Do not let your livestock mate with another kind. Do not sow your field with mixed seed, and do not put a garment woven of 2 sorts of thread upon you. This is a big thing, right? A lot of people know exactly the putting of the garment woven of 2 sorts of threads. I believe on this, we're talking about linen, we're talking about wool. Those are the only 2 kinds of threads, unless you guys out there know of another kind of thread, where the resonance of these different kinds of fabrics, if you put like linen and wool together, you will vibrate out of your chair, right? It is a very unhealthy thing for the human body to have both those 2 kinds of threads on you. Now, it also talks about do not sow your field with mixed seed. A lot of people don't know what that is. So in the Japanese culture, they will have these little gardens that they will take 50, 60 different kinds of seeds, put them all in a bowl, and they will just toss this out on the land. Now, what comes up on the land is a whole variety of a whole bunch of different things, and it is one of these things that it makes your crops weak. Crops are supposed to be grown in sets of things, right? You're supposed to put all of your corn that's all the same kind of corn together and plant it. And I will tell you, down here in South America, they've corrupted all the food line, all the corn. We tried growing corn down here for a while, and it is genetically messed up. Every single piece of corn, if you just take some of the corn and try to plant it, every single is a different kind of corn. And so you have all these genetic mutants, and you have all this corn with missing teeth, and it looks like something out of like some Frankenstein farm. And that's the reason, right? You're supposed to not mix your seeds. Same with the livestock. Continued on. 20, and when a man has intercourse with a woman who is a female servant engaged to a man, and who has not at all been ransomed nor redeemed, nor freedom given there, should be an inquiry. But they are not to put to death because she was not free. Now, this is one of these hard things a lot of us don't have and don't understand, because we don't live in the world of slaves anymore. We don't live in the world where we have these kind of things. But in that day, If you had a man, if you were the owner of the slaves and you went with your female servant and she was engaged to a man, there's some problems, right? You are breaking Torah. You are doing it. It's interesting though, the commandment on this, but they are not put to death because she was not free. Hard things to understand. There's some of these that are hard to understand, but we don't live in that time. We don't have slaves today, so we'll continue on. 21. And he shall bring his guilt offering to Yahuwah to the door of the tent of appointment as a ram as a guilt offering. And the Kohen and the priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of the guilt offering before Yahuwah for his sin which he has done, and the sin which he has sinned shall be forgiven him. And when you come into the land and have planted all kinds of trees for food, then you shall reckon their fruit as uncircumcised. For 3 years it is as uncircumcised to you, it is not eaten. So this is one of these things a lot of people don't understand. And when you start studying this, when you start talking with people who grow trees and grow food, there's not a lot of power to a tree in the first 3 years, right? It's one of these things that you're supposed to let the tree grow up and to get as strong as you could possibly do before you start raiding it for all of the kinds of food on the tree. A lot of people don't get that. And these are things that our Creator has built all this stuff. So he absolutely understands how things operate. And so they're great things, that commands we should be keeping. 24. And in the 4th year, Kodesh, praises to Yahuwah. Absolutely, right? Continuing on. And in the 5th year, you eat his fruit, so that it increases its yield to you. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. And that's the bottom line of this, right? 5th year, you eat his fruit, so that it increases its yield to you. Prior to that, these life that Yah has given to them, when everything around us is alive, he knows how to make it work. He knows how to make it operate better. So these are the instructions for trees. 26. Do not eat with the blood. Do not practice divination or magic. Wow. Okay, so here we are right here. Don't eat with the blood. We've been told over and over and over, right? Don't eat the blood. Don't drink blood. Life is in the blood. Fry these steaks completely up, right? I know a lot of people argue it's not blood in the steaks, but it's some other kind of stuff. Whatever it is, fry it up, get rid of the blood, and do not practice divination or magic, right? To a lot of us, that would seem very foreign, right? Oh, wow, we wouldn't practice divination or magic. But you have the world of the occult, and you have all of these guys, and they're playing with magic all the time. They're playing with divination. They're doing spell casting. You have Solomon, one of the greatest occultist Freemason guys that has ever been out here to do it. And he was out there practicing magic. He was conjuring demons. He was trying to secure demons. He was doing some stuff that would be scary as heck to even do. And at the end of his days, he got owned. He sacrificed to Baal, or to was it Moloch? I think it was Moloch. He sacrificed to Moloch, and at that time that he sacrificed to Moloch, the demons ran on him. They ran against him. Everything that he captured, that he got a hold of. In his end days, it was very, very scary. Okay, continuing on. Okay, let's talk about alpha and beta males. Do not round the corner of your head, nor destroy the corner of your beard. Wow, we live in a complete world that is I would have to say a beta male society, right? We don't know that we should not be rounding the corner of our head, right? So we have people out there, right? And they live a Torah world, and they have all this stuff, and they shave a goatee, right? They literally, the word is a goatee. You know what the god of the demons are? It's a Baphomet, right? It's the goat god that all the Satanists love to worship. And so as Torah keepers, there will be people out there, not only that have goatees, but they will also, without a shadow of a doubt, monetize everything they have. And simply by us going to watch one of these guys' monetized videos on a Shabbat, we're buying and selling. We're breaking commandments because these people don't know how to operate within the Torah, but yet we have things like this. So if you want to be an alpha male, either shave it completely off or grow out a raging beard, and it is simply amazing. Guys, I've had one, I don't know how many years now, 8, 9 years. It's been a long time. But it's always one of these things that it's a showstopper, right? Everybody say, hey, man, nice beard. And so let's continue on. Yeah, so here we are. Let's go into the next thing, 28. And do not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor put tattoo marks on you. I am Yahuwah, right? And so we've talked about this before, right? And that was interesting because we talked about cuttings on your flesh for the dead. again, this is the pagan stuff. The pagans do the tattoo stuff too as well. And a lot of us have grown up in Babylon. A lot of us ended up with tattoos. It's not one of those things that we do, right? Just the understanding of the tattoo, when you're putting a tattoo on, you're majorly bloodletting yourself, right? Blood's everywhere. It's just you're cutting yourself, you're doing some stuff, and it's permanent. It's a permanent fixture upon the beautiful building that our Creator has given to all of us, right? And so it's things our Creator has said not to do. 29, do not profane your daughter by making her a whore, so that the land does not whore, and the land becomes filled with wickedness. Right? Parents, right? We have a job to do, and that is making sure that our kids don't end up becoming either women whores or man whores, right? There's two different things. Men are as bad as women. Men have far less rap than women get, but there is just a sickness when it comes to whoring in the world. It is just really, really sick. The modesty, the most beautiful women I have ever seen anymore have like dresses almost down to their feet, and they have things that are cinched up right to their neck. I look at those women and I go, man, that is a modest woman. That is one beautiful woman. And it doesn't matter about her features. It matters that this woman is so concerned about her modesty that she has become a beautiful, beautiful woman to people that consider that kind of stuff beautiful. Because I've lived my entire life in a world of people taking their clothes off. From TV to all this, you walk around, people, it's like a couple of different straps they have, and there's no other clothes on. It is sickness. It is profane. And we need to keep our kids in their clothes. We need to keep our clothes on. This is what it's all about. Our Creator continues on. He goes this, guard my Shabbateth and reverence my Mikdash. I am Yahuwah. Again, in the same chapter, we have two iterations. One, guard my Sabbath and guard my Shabbateth. Two separate entities over and over and over. Yet you ask any Christian, what is a Shabbat? And they say it's Sunday because Jesus died and it became the Lord's day. And so we are able to worship any day that we want because Jesus died so that we can become lawless, right? That's what the Christian rhetoric says. 31, do not turn to mediums and do not seek after spiritists to be defiled by them. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, right? Occultists, right? We don't go to lady, madam, whatever her name is, that is all this stuff, right? We don't do this, and they're all around us. They used to be on TV all the time. They had like 800 numbers you can call, like the madam whatever, and she's going to read your stuff. This stuff's legit. I'm not saying it's all legit, but I'm saying that Solomon had it figured out. He knew what was up, and I'm sure other people have figured it out as well. 32, rise up before the gray-headed, and you shall favor the face of an old man, and shall revere your Elohim. I am Yahuwah, right? These are these Christian laws that are nailed to the cross, right? We are supposed to have respect to the old people, that we are supposed to treat them with reverence, treat them with respect, enough so much that our Creator has added this to our scriptures. 33, and when a stranger sojourns with you in your land, do not oppress him. Let the stranger who dwells among you be to you as the native among you, and you shall love him as yourself. For you were strangers in the land of Mitzrayim. I am Yahuwah your Elohim. Now, this particular verse right here goes against Judaism. And for those who do not know, we are not a part of Judaism at all, because Judaism has things like the Talmud, the Zohar, all of these crazy Babylonian mysticism things that breaks all sorts of crazy commandments. But one of the commands in this so-called extracurricular books is that if you're not a Jew, then you're a dog. You're less than a dog. You're less than an animal. You are a goyim, right? And the goys, you can treat the goys like trash, right? The goys they're nothing, right? That's the religion. But yet inside of Torah itself, it says completely opposite, right? And why, gentlemen, why would you love the stranger who dwells among you? Why would you love them?
Because they're dwelling among us, so that means they keep the Torah, they're dwelling among us.
That would be, but also you're never going to fish for men if you're tossing in vinegar, right? You're never ever, if you don't love people and you chase them away from you, if you don't show them how great the Torah life is, then they will just run away thinking that you're like everybody else, right? So we're told to love those all around us. Very, very important stuff. 35. Do no unrighteousness in right ruling, in measurement of length, in weight, or in measuring liquids. Huge thing, right? Again, this is why I say the Christian religion is extremely dangerous. They don't have laws and rules like this, right? So we know as business people that we shouldn't be ripping people off. How do we know this? Because that's what it said in scriptures, right? We're not supposed to We're not supposed to mess with the measurements, right? If it's a little bit longer, don't charge it for a little bit longer, right? If it's not as heavy as you say it is, don't do that. Or if we're measuring out stuff, don't rip people off. That's what our Creator wants us to do, is to be righteous people. Continuing on, have right scales, have right weights, a right ephah and a right hin. I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim. And again, it's talking about how do we conduct ourselves among the people of our Creator. And we're not to rip them off, right? We're not to rip people off. Human beings are too easy to be manipulated and ripped off, because as humans, we want the best in people. We hope for the best in people. We hope that the guy we're doing a deal with isn't there ripping us off. Okay, now continuing on, the last verse on this. And you shall guard all my laws and all my right rulings and do them. I am Yahuwah. Now, one thing we don't have, guys, is that it doesn't say, and you shall guard my laws and all my right rulings and do them until Yahushua comes. And at that point, all food will be made clean and you can do as you want. Because you know what? We've had it a little strict. Not really strict, but we've had it to where you just can't go out and cut yourself for the dead, and you can't do all this stuff. But we're going to let you now cut yourself for the dead. We're going to let you eat unclean food. We're going to let you worship on a Sunday. All of these beautiful, amazing, incredible laws that I have given, sustained, and kept for all time. Now my rebel kid is going to be able to fly that flag, and he's going to wipe this all out, right? That is essentially the message the Christians will tell you with a straight face, and that's what it is. Okay, so here we are. Matthew 19. Sorry, guys, it's going a little long-winded today, but what do you got, Mr. Cole?
Big Red wants to know, what does one call himself or herself one that follows the Torah and believes in the Messiah?
You call yourself an Hebrew. You call yourself a Hebrew, right? You would call yourself, a child of the Most High. That's what Scripture says. Those who are in covenant is a child of the Most High. I would say we're probably Hebrews over anything else, because you wouldn't, when you say like Jew, you're talking about one tribe of 12. And so that's not technically correct, because at the end of time, I believe we will all fall into one of the 12 tribes. Like we're all descendants from somewhere along these lines. And so right now, I think the best thing we could do is call ourselves a Hebrew. And that's what Abraham called himself. When in fact, that word actually means crossing over. And so Abraham wasn't a Hebrew until he crossed over, until he came out of the land of pagans and all these multiple gods and all these different things. And he crossed over, which is what all of us can do. And when he crossed over, he became known as a Hebrew. Okay, here we go. Matthew 19. This is the words of our Messiah. And so here we are, guys. Jaden, give me a quick breakdown, or anybody give me a breakdown where we're at with our Messiah.
All right, so Yehoshua is out teaching the people. He is making the Pharisees very angry. They're after him, plotting to hurt him. And he's been creating disciples and teaching people healing. And we are getting towards the end of Yehoshua's life. We're to the teachings, and where he is getting to very important teachings. He seems much more serious than he did at the beginning.
Yeah, and Honeymoon Stitch Brian was talking. He's like he likes to be called Yahudim. That's the thing is they've all taken that word Yahudim, and that essentially that's Jews. And I don't think that is correct in any of this, because if you call yourself a Jew, then by default you have 200 extra books that are outside of the first 5 books that we've been told not to add to. And so it's closer than a man-made religion by any far. Okay, here we are, guys. Matthew 19. For everybody who's still with us, much love to you guys. Thanks for the staying power. Let's roll. And it came to be, when Yahushua had ended these words, that he left Galilee and came to the borders of Yehuda beyond the Yarden. And large crowds followed him, and he healed them there. And the Pharisees came to him, trying him, and saying to him, "Is it right for a man to put away his wife for every reason?" And he answering said to them, "Did you not read that he who made them at the beginning made them male and female? And he said, for this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and join unto his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So that they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what Elohim has joined together, let man not separate." Okay, let's discuss this real quick. Let's talk about this, because there is a tremendous amount of misunderstanding when it comes to divorce and the letters of divorcement and the way and what it actually is supposed to mean. But the one thing that we can get as a bottom line of all of this is that a union of a male and a female in the eyes of our Creator is something that should not be taken lightly. It is something that should not be we live in the age of divorce, right? It's real easy. You can go online for $25 and get a divorce, any state, anywhere, sign it, it becomes legit. That's not what it was meant to be. Life with marriage isn't easy. It isn't always easy. I've been doing, how many years have I been doing, Miss Nicole? 25? Yeah, 100. It feels like, she says hundreds. I've been doing time
23.
myself. Yeah, we got 23 years of marriage here. And it is not something that's easy, right? It's something that you absolutely always have to work at. As men, we struggle that we don't have the understanding of women. Guys, I'm sorry, my dogs are getting a little rowdy because I've gone the extra long time here. Guys, maybe, so hold on. So it is something that it's not something we should just be breaking apart, right? It's something we need to work at. We need to work at it all the way to the death. Are our spouses always going to make us happy? No. Are they always going to make us feel comfortable? No. Are they not ever going to hurt our feelings? No. It's just what happens. But at the end of the day, we're meant to be together. Our Creator wants man and woman together. It is how He has built it. And so what the Pharisees and Sadducees are doing is they're messing with Him because they had all of their laws prior. And back in the day, if it's just easy to give your woman a letter of divorcement and send her on her way. But that's not what we should be doing, right? There's reasons for it and there's not reasons for it. And if it's a hardness of a heart, or if it's some man thing that the man can't get over and it really isn't the woman's thing, the man needs to deal with this stuff, right? So continuing on, they're still testing Messiah. Then they said to him, why then did Moshe command to give a certificate of divorce and to put her away? He said to them, because of the hardness of your hearts, Moshe allowed you to put away your wives. But from the beginning, it was not so, right? So this gives us an understanding that divorce in of itself isn't a natural thing. It wasn't supposed to happen. But men and women, we get hard heads. We get some stuff in our minds. We don't know what's going on. And all of a sudden we decide we're going to start battling with our spouses. Right? It's not supposed to be. We're not supposed to be dumping our women, dumping our men. It's not supposed to be something. This is supposed to be a union of souls that we fight for with all of our lives if it's possible. And guys, it's not always possible. It's not always possible. I know there's spouses that it's not going to happen with, but it's the way it was supposed to be. And if you're not in a Torah relationship, a lot of this goes out the door because if your spouses don't have the same views and values you do, it's going to be very, very hard. Okay. She is loving these words. Oh, awesome. Say hi to your mother. Say hi to mom. Much love, mama. Okay. There we go. 9. And I say to you, whoever puts away his wife, except on the grounds of whoring, and marries another commits adultery. And whoever marries her has been put away, commits adultery. This is very important. I think we should study this, guys, right here, right? If we are one of these hard-headed men that decided it's not going to happen for us and the only thing that we could possibly do is get rid of our woman, when we put her away and she marries another, you are an adulteress and she is an adulteress, right? Maybe you might not be an adulteress if you do it properly, but you're absolutely making her an adulterer. And this is the same thing that I talk to people about when you have a pornography addiction or when you are into pornography at all. Every single act, every single deed that you do, you make the person in this video or in these dirty magazines or dirty whatever it is. I think I outdated myself with dirty magazines, but you have made them even more of an adulterer, and you are more of an adulterer. So in the event that you ever do find a woman that you stay with, when you marry her and you are intimate with her, everybody's an adulterer, right? It just makes things very, very bad. It's not a good thing. Continuing on, his Talmudim said to him, if such is the case of the man with his wife, it is good not to marry, right? And so this is the understanding of one of his disciples, right? Wow, if this is the case of the man and his wife, it's better we both don't marry. And this, again, that's limited understanding. People don't understand that when you have a proper union of ruach, the proper the continued of two different souls that are put together in a life matter, great things can happen. 11. And he said to them, not all receive this word, but only those to whom it has been given. For there are eunuchs who were so born from their mother's womb, and there are eunuchs who were made eunuchs by men, and there are eunuchs who have made themselves eunuchs for the sake of the reign of the Shamayim. He who is able to receive it, let him receive it. Guys, these are hard words, right? We hear a tremendous amount in scriptures about eunuchs. Something about eunuchs, for whatever reason, that they're special in scriptures, right? Whether it's the eunuch that's tossing out Jezebel out the window, or whether it's eunuchs that are leaders of like soldiering groups and stuff out there. I can't explain that, but there's something about the eunuchs. Basically, what it's saying, who's ever able to receive it, let him receive it. If you're able to figure this out, if you're able to see the ways of the Shamayim, whatever it is, receive it. 13. Then young children were brought to him to lay his hands on them and pray, and the Talmidim rebuked them. But Yahushua said, allow the young children and do not stop them from coming to me. For of such is the reign of the Shamayim. And having laid hands on them, he went from there. This is a big thing, right? One of these things that, unfortunately, when we're dealing with the brothers and sisters in chains, there's a lot of times that children have become the victims of these satanic endeavors that these guys have gone on in their past, whatever it is. There's always something about that, right? And I was talking to a lady this week, and I told her, because we know of a couple pedophiles in this group, in this area, that literally traffic children. And we know their names, and we literally had our house raided because we tried to expose them. This was many, many years ago. Cops came down to raid our house because we were going after the pedophiles down here. But I was talking to this lady, and I told her all the pedophiles should be gone. Something should happen. She's like, well, you haven't read your Bible if that's how you think. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, I don't know what the millstone around your neck being tossed to the depths of the ocean is better than actually laying your hands on one of these children. So she kind of went silent at that. But guys, there's a lot to be said here, right? If we are not like children, if we don't act like children in humbleness, in understanding, then we're not going to make the Shamayim, right? And I'm not talking about the ruthless children. I'm talking about the innocence of the children. When you have children that are innocents, that have just lost their innocence, you know it. And so we have to keep our innocence in all of this. 16. And see, one came and said to him, good teacher, what good shall I have to do? What good shall I do to have everlasting Kai? Okay, and when the word Kai is life, so let's talk about that before we actually go into the answer to that. This is a question that a lot of people have. What do we need to do to receive everlasting life? So Messiah says, and he said to them, why do you call me good? No one is good except one, Elohim. But if you want to enter into life, Kai, guard the commands. Okay, so, excuse me. Let's talk about this, right? Sorry, guys. How do we get into everlasting life?
Well, we keep the commands. We obey the Torah.
Guard the commands. Okay, and also this is a Trinity breaker, guys. For all of you guys who have grown up in a religion that you believe that the Father and the Son are all the same individual, Messiah just said it. If what Messiah just said here is not the truth, then our Messiah is a liar, and we shouldn't follow him. Because everywhere in scriptures, he completely always says that he is not the Father. He is the Son. He is the Son of the Most High. And this is Messiah saying, why do you call me good? No one is good except one, Elohim. So if he was Elohim Most High, if he was Yahuwah, then he just lied to all of us. And I don't believe that's the case. I believe what the scriptures tell us, and they're individuals, right? They're separate entities. Do you have something, Sickle? Okay. Now Messiah said, if you want to enter into life, guard the commands, at which point this guy says, he said to him, which? And Yahushua said, you shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness. Respect your father and your mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, is this all, first of all, gentlemen, is this all the commands we need to keep to enter into the life?
No, it's the base of the commands.
It's the base of the commands, right? And it's things like, what are these commands that he's talking to us about right here? What do these deal with?
Loving everyone, loving Yahuwah, and loving our neighbor.
This has to come with hurting people, right? When you murder, you're obviously hurting people, right? When you commit adultery, you're hurting your soul. You're hurting the person you've done it with. When you're stealing, right, you're hurting your soul. You're hurting other people, right? You're taking their stuff. Bearing false witness. What are we doing?
loving our neighbor.
We're breaking somebody's spirit by lying about them, right? So these aren't the only commands. Now 19, he says, respect your father and mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The young man said to him, all these I have watched over from my youth. What do I still lack? Yahushua said to him, if you want to be perfect, go, sell what you have and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in the Shamayim. And come, follow me. All right, these are hard words, right? These are not things that anybody is going to want to hear, right? If you had Messiah that came up to you in today's environment and you said, how do I get eternal life? Go sell everything that you have and give it to the poor, and you shall have treasure in the Shamayim. So what do we make by this, fellas? What is this telling us?
It tells us that we need to help the poor. Then we need to follow Yehoshua. That if we're rich, we're not going to make the kingdom. Basically, you can't have two masters. You can't be rich and try to be in the kingdom.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of things about charity, about all of this stuff that following our Messiah means that we follow his ways. His ways are the ways of his dad. And all of these, the reiteration of the greatest commandments is that love your neighbor as yourself. 22. And when the young man heard the word, he went away sad because he had many possessions. And Yahushua said to his Talmidim, truly I say to you that it is hard for a rich man to enter into the reign of the Shamayim. And again I say to you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the reign of Elohim. Now, this is actually I don't know if it's a mistranslation, but it is one of these things that it doesn't make any sense unless you actually know what it is. Now, you will have guys like Dr. Stephen Pidgeon that will tell you that it wasn't a camel, but the translation is a rope, and it actually isn't a rope. What I'll tell you exactly what it is. The eye of the needle is a little itty bitty tiny gateway in the land of Yisrael. It's a little entrance into the town that if you tried to literally take your camel and go through this entrance, you couldn't do it. Right? To go through this entrance, you had to take all of your stuff off. You had to creep through this little hole, and it was called the eye of the needle. And so what Messiah is talking about is that it's easier for a rich man to enter into the eye of this little itty bitty tiny door that you have to scrunch through, and then you have to bring your camel through to ever get into the city, than it is to enter the reign of Elohim. So that's really, really tough, right? Or if you want to say it's easier for a rope to go through the eye of a needle, it's the same concept. Same thing, right? Is a camel going to go through the eye of a needle? No. But that's not what Messiah was talking about. 25. And when his Talmidim heard it, they were very astonished, saying, who then is able to be saved? And looking intently, Yahushua said to them, with men, this is impossible. But with Elohim, all is possible. Then Kepha, Peter, answered, said to him, see, we have left all and followed you. What then shall we have? And Yahushua said to them, truly I say to you, when the son of Adam, when the Ben of Adam sits on the throne of his esteem, you who have followed me in the restoration shall also sit on the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Yisrael. And everyone who has left houses, or brothers, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting Kai. But many who are first shall be last, and the last first. So let's talk about this real quick. Guys, when it's talking about people leaving, we have a lot of the Christians, and they jump on this, that you leave everything, including your family, including all your stuff, and you must go follow Messiah. And Messiah clears this up a lot in the book of the Nazarene, quite a bit. And Messiah very clearly talks about the responsibilities that people have, because there was a guy in the book of the Nazarene that came to Messiah and says, what do I do? How do I do this? And Messiah says, well, if you leave everything right now, who depends on you? And the guy goes, well, I have an old father. I have all the people in my house. All my servants depend on me. And so when the guy would leave everything to go follow Messiah, he would have ruined a whole bunch of other people's lives. So we're not talking about dropping absolutely everything and endangering our family to do this. We're talking about leaving this world behind. everything that we have, the television, the movies, the evil things, the games, all the things that are hurting our lives, that are hurting the minds of ourselves and our children, we have to leave it behind. We have to seek the kingdom where the kingdom is able to be found. And the kingdom is able to be found in scriptures. It is where we take these scriptures and we write them on our heart, mind, and soul, and where we make our lives reflect what scriptures say. And it's hard to do, right? Because a lot of us are stuck in this world. We're stuck around a lot of Babylonians. We're stuck around the Gentiles that are happy Gentiles. But that's where we have to be separate of this world. We have to be a place that is not looking like the world or smelling like the world or being like the world. We have to be part of the kingdom. The kingdom is a different set of people, different set of guidelines, different set of rules. And guys, the rules are not the world's. So with that, much love to all of you guys out there. Jade, will you please bless our brothers and sisters?
Jehovah baruch you and guard you. Jehovah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. He will lift his face upon you and give you peace. Thus they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I myself shall baruch them.
Okay. All right, guys. We love y'all. We hope that you guys have a great rest of your Shabbat. Our dogs are rowdy like always. Much love to you. All right, fam. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. May his light forever shine on you. May the grace of the kingdom forever be part of your lives. And may the Torah never, ever be something that you do not have in your life. Much love to y'all. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.